Hello and welcome to Sports Around the World. I am Austin Arome. Today on the Sport Around the World, journalists barred from covering Nigeria versus Sierra Leone AFCON qualifier in Benin. Super Eagles players arrive ahead of AFCON qualifier against Sierra Leone. Nigeria-born Crystal Palace midfielder Eberechi Eze voted Premier League Player of the Week in England. And in tennis, world number 5 Daniel Medvedev wins Paris Masters. Now to the main story. Talking football, the Super Eagles. Journalists will not be allowed into the Samuel Ogwumede Stadium, Benin City, ahead of Friday's 2021 AFCON qualifier between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Leon Stars of Sierra Leone. This was revealed by the NFF Director of Communication, Demola Olajire, speaking with journalists on Monday morning. He also informed that the Super Eagles' new conference in Benin City will be staged online according to the CAF guidelines. The Super Eagles will host a West African neighbor Sierra Leone on March 3 of the qualifiers. Sierra Leone are bottom in Group L on 1 point after 2 games, while the Super Eagles are top with 6 points. Moving on to our next story, Kelechi Iheanacho, Ahmed Musa and Maduka Okoye have arrived ahead of Friday's 2021 AFCON qualifier against Sierra Leone. Also, CompleteSport.com can report that the 3 players will arrive Benin, venue of the match, on Tuesday. Okoye was in action for the Dutch side Sparta Rotterdam at the weekend, who claimed their first win of the season in a 2-0 away win, while Iheanacho was an unused substitute for Leicester City in their 1-0 home win against Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Premier League. Also, already in Nigeria are Ogenekaro Etebo, Paul Onaushu, while head coach Genedro is expected to be in Benin today. On the injury front, Midtjylland midfielder Frank Onyeka, who is out injured, has been replaced by Shehu Abdullahi. The Eagles top Group L with 6 points after 2 games, while Sierra Leone are bottom with just a point. The 3-time AFCON winners warmed up for Sierra Leone tie with 2 friendlies against Algeria and Tunisia in Austria last month. They lost 1-0 to Algeria before holding Tunisia to a 1-1 draw. Moving on to our next story, Eberechi Eze has been voted Premier League Player of the Week following his brilliant performance for Crystal Palace at the weekend. Eze was selected as the best player this weekend by Football Facts and Statistics website WhoScored.com. After scoring and also assisting in Palace's 4-1 win against Leeds United. Eze, who scored his first Premier League goal for his new club with a sublime free kick midway through the first half, finding the top corner from 25 yards. He then turned provider for Jordan Ayew with his goal and assists coming from respective returns of 2 shots and 2 passes. The former QPR man worked tirelessly off the ball too, as he made 5 tackles and 4 interceptions. Also, he was included in Who Scores Team of the Week that has the likes of Chelsea duo Hakim Ziyech and Ben Chilwell, as well as Bruno Fernandes of Manchester United and Harry Kane of Tottenham Hotspur. Let's go on a short break, and when we come back, we have more stories for you. Don't go nowhere. All right, welcome back. It's still Sports Around the World on Grand Sports Extra. Let's continue with our stories in football. Oganiru Anambra Football Group, a stakeholder forum, has released a counter-statement to floor Chikelu Ileanusi's claim in his release on Sunday concerning the recent Anambra State Football Association chairmanship election in Awka. Ileanusi, a former Nigerian international, contested for the substantive chairmanship position of the Anambra State Football Association as a sole candidate after his more popular opponent, Dr. Emeka Okeke, was disqualified by the appeal committee. He failed to amass a simple majority vote that would have secured his victory, with only one of the accredited 20 delegates voting for him, while 19 others voted against him on October 30, 2020. Ileanusi claimed in a statement that he deserves to be granted an automatic victory as a sole candidate, but the Oganiru Anambra Football Group has come out to floor his interpretation of the election guidelines and put the record straight in a counter-statement signed by its chairman, Chief Okechukwu Odeoyek, and Secretary Anekwe Chinweke. Moving on to our next story, world number 5, Daniil Medvedev won his 8th ATP title as he beat Alexander Zverev 5-7, 6-4, 6-1 in the Paris Masters final. German Zverev, who won 2 titles in as many weeks in Cologne last month and beat Rafael Nadal in Saturday's semi-final, took an early advantage. But the Russian third seed Medvedev failed to win in 2 hours 7 minutes. It was only in his second win in 7 meetings, with Zverev adding to his 2019 Shanghai Master final success. Medvedev, 24, sealed a place in his first final since that win in China 13 months ago, with a 6-4, 7-6 win over 10th seed Milos Raonic on Saturday. And after a closely fought opening set against 23-year-old Zverev, ranked 7th in the world, he raced into a 4-0 lead in the decider and soon wrapped up an impressive victory. Moving on to our next story, in boxing, Devin Haney cruised past Yoris Gamboa with a unanimous decision to defend his WBC lightweight title behind closed door in Florida on Saturday. The unbeaten Haney was fighting for the first time since last November after undergoing a shoulder surgery in January. 2 judges had the 21-year-old American leading for every round, while the other had him winning in all but 2. Meanwhile, America Lopez beat Vasyl Lomachenko by a unanimous point decision in October to become the undisputed world lightweight champion. The 23-year-old is the youngest fighter to become a 4-belt undisputed champion with an unbeaten record of 16 from 16 bouts. Moving on to our next story, in American football, Tom Brady suffered the worst loss of his career as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost 38-3 to the New Orleans Saints. Brady, 43, a 6-time Super Bowl winner at the New England Patriots, also saw rival quarterbacks Drew Brees overtake his record of most touchdown passes. The Buccaneers moved to a 6-3 record, while the 6-2 Saints topped the NFC South. Brees, who also won the Super Bowl with the Saints in 2009, threw touchdown passes to 4 different receivers: Tre'Quan Smith, Adam Trautman, Emmanuel Sanders, and George Hill, with Alvin Kamara also scoring for the Saints. 3 of those touchdowns came before Brady even registered a first touchdown. He threw 3 interceptions, completed 22 of 38 passes, and Tampa Bay rushed the ball just 5 times, the lowest total in the league history. In comparison, Breeze completed 26 of 32 passes for 222 yards, and 12 different receivers caught passes on the night. Breeze, 41, now has 564 career touchdown passes, while Brady sits at 561. Let's go on another short break, and when we come back, we have more sports stories for you. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. Alright, welcome back. It's still sports around the world on Grand Sports Extra. Now let's continue with our stories. In cycling, defending champion Roglic, who suffered a dramatic defeat by Tadej Pogacar in the Tour de France, retained his Vuelta title with Richard Carapaz coming second. Cathy's surprise podium came a fortnight after Britain Tauhat won the Giro d'Italia. Germany's Pascal Ackmann won the bunch spirits in largely possessional final stage to Madrid. Third place for the EF Pro Cycling, Cathy, 1 minute 15 seconds behind Roglic overall, was by far the best finish of his career at the top level. Ireland Dan Martin took fourth for Israel's Start-up Nations, 2 minutes 43 seconds down. Moving on to our next story, former Cameroon captain Samuel Eto'o has escaped uninjured from a car crash on Sunday. The 39-year-old was traveling between Douala and Boufassam in Cameroon when the car he was traveling in was involved in a head-on collision with a bus. The front end of his car was badly damaged, but fortunately no one was injured. A spokesman to Eto'o, Frank Happy, told reporters that the former Barcelona star had no injuries after visiting a hospital for checkup. Eto'o decided against pressing charges against the driver, who had initially tried absconding from the scene before being apprehended and taken to a police station. Instead of taking legal action, there is a video footage of Eto'o talking to the driver and urging him to drive more carefully. Moving on to our next story, still in football. A Granada side featuring 7 senior players lost at leaders Real Sociedad after requests to postpone Sunday's La Liga game was rejected. There have been 10 positive coronavirus tests at Granada, and players who traveled to Cyprus for the 2-0 Europa League win over Omnia Nicosia on Thursday were not allowed to play. Goalkeeper Angel Jimenez, 18, served a penalty on his debut for Granada. He was among the 4 players to start who were not listed on the club's website. Granada, who said they did not have the minimum number of first-team players, bolstered their squad with players from the reserve and youth team and made 9 changes to the side that drew 1-1 with Levante last Sunday. Goals from former Arsenal defender Nacho Moril and Spain winger Mikel Oyarzabal helped the hosts to a fifth consecutive win. The Spanish Football Federation and the league organizers had rejected Granada's request to postpone the game because they were able to field 7 players from the first team squad. Rule states that matches can only be postponed if 5 or fewer first-team players are available. Granada are already facing disciplinary action for breach of the protocol after traveling to Cyprus, having had an outbreak of coronavirus within the team, La Liga has said. Moving on to our next story, Mikel Arteta has confirmed that Thomas Partey was replaced in Arsenal's home defeat to Aston Villa due to thigh injury. The Ghana international was replaced at halftime by Dani Ceballos as the Gunners lost 3-0 at the Emirates. And speaking after the game, Arteta reveals that former Atletico Madrid star will undergo a scan to ascertain the extent of the injury. Still in football, Liverpool defender Trent Alexander-Arnold will miss England's upcoming Nations League game after picking up an injury late in his team 1-1 draw at Manchester City on Sunday. The right back went off with what appeared to be a calf injury midway through the second half, and his manager Jurgen Klopp said he was out of the internationals. England faced Ireland on November 12th before playing Nations League A Group 2 game against Belgium on November 15th and Iceland on November 18th. Let's go on another short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with our stories. Don't go nowhere. Welcome back. It's still sports around the world on Grand Sports Extra. Now let's continue with our stories. Bayern Munich midfielder Joshua Kimmich underwent surgery on his right knee on Sunday and will be out of action until January, the German champions announced. The German international, 25, suffered the injury in the first half of Saturday's 3-2 win at Borussia Dortmund, which sent them top of the Bundesliga. Joshua Kimmich underwent successful surgery on his right lateral meniscus on Sunday evening, said Bayern in a statement. The FC Bayern medical department expects the midfielder to be available again in January. Moving on to our next story, in handball, Kada Stars, Plateau Vipers, Plateau Peacocks, Edo Dynamos, Defender Babes, Adorable Angels all won their games yesterday at the ongoing Handball League holding at Package B of the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja. In the men's category, Kada Stars defeated Confluence Stars 27-21, while Plateau Vipers subdued the Chief of Army Staff Shooters 34-27. In the women's category, we have Plateau Peacock shocked the powerhouse Imo Grasshopper 18-16, while Kada Queens lost 18-27 to Edo Dynamos. In other results, Defenders beat Benue Queens 36-25, while Adorable Angels defeated Desert Queen 33-20. Commenting on the quality of the matches, which have lit up the city of Abuja in the last 1 week, a technical committee member of the league, Barrister Emma Akigbe, expressed satisfaction with games played so far, adding that all the teams are giving their best to earn good results. Akigbe is optimistic that the league will impact positively on the sport in Nigeria, while appealing to other sports-loving firms to partner with Handball Federation of Nigeria. Now to our next story. 4-time Olympic champions Sir Mo Farah, Shane Ritchie and Victoria Derbyshire are among the stars heading to Welsh Castle to take part in I Am a Celebrity get me out of here. The pandemic means that there's not going to be they are not going to the Australian jungle as usual. This year's series has been relocated to the ruined Greek castle in Abigail. It has been confirmed that one member of the cast had tested positive to COVID-19 and was self-isolating. The series will begin next Sunday, 15th of November. Samo Richie Debuchy will be joined by actress Beverly Callard, presenter Venom K, and former Strictly dancer AJ Pritchard. A spokesman for ITV would not reveal the name of the contestant who had contracted the virus, but did stress on Monday that the show was in robust health and operating within the coronavirus guidelines. Moving on to our next story in cricket, England's Johnny Bairstow will make its debut in Australia Big Bash League and has signed for Melbourne Stars. The 10th edition of the T20 event begins on December 10th, but the 31-year-old wicket-keeper will not be available after Christmas. Bairstow, who has represented England in every format of the game, has been recently playing in the Indian Premier League with Sunrisers Hyderabad. Teams in the Australia Big Bash League will be able to field up to 3 overseas players this winter, up from 2 last season, and Bairstow is the 7th Englishman to sign up for the 2-month competition. The other England players are Jason Roy, Liam Livingstone of Perth, Scotia, Darwin Mallam of Hobart Hurricanes, Alex Hales of Sydney Thunder, Tom Banton of Brisbane Heat, and Tom Curran of Sydney Sixers. Moving on to our next story in rugby, the contingency date has been agreed for the Super League playoff should teams have to isolate due to COVID-19 cases. A side with 7 players out can request a postponement but will have to withdraw if they cannot fulfill either the original fixture or the reverse date. Warrington, who finished 3rd, take on 6th place Hull FC on Thursday, with Catalan Dragons 4th playing Leeds 5th on Friday in elimination games. Huddersfield remain in training and would replace any side unable to play. The Giants, who finished 7th, will undergo testing along with the other 6 clubs. As part of its contingency plan, the Rugby Football League says possible reverse dates expected to be next weekend have been agreed with broadcaster. The winners of this week's playoff will then face Wigan and St Helens in the semi-finals on 19th and 20th of November after they finish the season 1st and 2nd respectively. Should the semi-final or finalists be able to play, they will be replaced. Should the semi-finalist or the finalist not being able to play, will be replaced by the highest ranked losing side. There is no reverse date for the Super League Grand Final on 27th November as the club have stipulated the season must finish on that date. The 2 beaten semi-finalists will continue to train should there be need to replace a finalist. The preseason was brought forward after Hull KR were forced to end their season early due to positive tests and has been extended to a 6-team affair. Let's go on another short break, and when we come back, we continue with more stories. Welcome back. It's still Sports Around the World on Grand Sports Extra. Let's continue with our stories in football. Ruthless Rangers recorded their biggest win under Steven Gerrard against Hamilton to stay 9 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premier League. Scott Arfield struck the opener, Kemar Roofe headed the second, and Joe Aribo deflected shot made it 3. Aribo's second also took a nick off a defender as bottom side toyed. Roofe tapped in after the break before substitute Brandon Barker slotted in and James Tavernier contributed a penalty and another strike. Gerrard's sides have played 2 more games more than the nearest challenger, Celtic, and are yet to concede a league goal at the Ibrox this season. The margin of victory makes it the biggest win since the top flight was rebranded as the Scottish Premier League in 2013. Now moving on to our next story, rounding up now, West Bromwich Albion manager Slaven Bilic is not concerned about getting the sacked. Bilic is under a lot of pressure at the Hawthorns after a poor start to the season. The Croatian has overseen a run that sees his team winless after 8 Premier League matches. But Bilic is not interested in leaving and believes the club will stick by him for now. That's the much you can take on Sport Around the World today. I remain Austin Arome. Bye-bye for now.